A summer day in London should feel light, almost weightless, alleys bright with window boxes, the steady wash of bus engines hiding the city's deeper pulse. Yet on this June morning the atmosphere feels oddly pressurized, as though everyone inside the M25 is waiting for a verdict that never quite arrives. Trooping the color 2025 ought to be a pageant of certainties. Scarlet tunics, rhythmic drum taps, the clatter of polished hooves across Horse Guards parade. But beneath the brass band exuberance, tension cuts a fissure through the celebrations, and even the most seasoned royal watchers admit it. Something in the monarchy's gravitational field has shifted. Part of that shift is visible, even viewers watching on tablet screens can spot it. King Charles III, once an enthusiastic horseman, rides not astride, but enclosed, seated upright in the glossy Scots grey carriage that once bore his mother when age finally coaxed her out of the saddle. His diagnosis, delivered to the nation with stoic brevity last year, hovers unspoken above the procession. Official bulletins tell us treatment continues, with good progress, yet the mere fact of the carriage is a reminder, the sovereign is mortal, and the crown remains all too aware. Another tremor comes from outside the palace gates, literally. Yellow placards ripple at the edge of the mall, Republic, abolish the monarchy, not MY King. Last year's protests were new enough to draw collective gasps. This year they feel like ritualized opposition, woven into the day's choreography. The organizers have chosen their moment with precision. A weekend birthday parade, global press on standby, the perfect stage to ask whether ribbons of pageantry still justify crowns of authority in 2025. The police cordon is polite, but firm. Tourists grip phone cameras, capturing both ceremony and descent in the same panoramic sweep. Yet inside those ceremonial boundaries, the older choreography struggles to assert itself. Look closely as the carriages pass. Seating has been rearranged. Some faces appear farther forward than tradition dictates, others, conspicuously, have slipped further down the order of precedence. Courtiers insist everything is entirely in keeping with protocol, but royal correspondents mutter about subtle recalibrations, changes invisible to casual fans, obvious as neon to those who track these things by the inch. In the first carriage rides the king, his profile unreadable. Beside him Queen Camilla leans inward, whispering in a voice broadcast only to eagle-eyed lip readers. Snippets deciphered later suggest a conversation heavy with exasperation. Yes, what else did he want, she murmurs. Charles's reply drifts away in the rattle of wheels. He keeps dragging it all up. Another issue right now. The he in question, commentators agree within minutes, can only be Prince Harry, whose absence from this celebration, the second year running, has grown from awkward footnote to glaring vacancy. Harry's no-show, of course, isn't the only absence casting shadows on the Scarlet Parade. In the days leading up to trooping, newspapers speculated breathlessly about whether Catherine, Princess of Wales, might appear alongside William. Rumors multiplied like raindrops on the Thames. Some outlets whispered last-minute U-turn, others insisted her name had never truly been on the list. Kensington Palace said nothing beyond gentle reminders of her ongoing recovery schedule. The result? A déjà vu hush, reminiscent of royal Ascot's Will She Won't She swirl, with bookies taking odds on balcony appearances rather than race winners. All the while the public grapples with two conflicting images of the king. Tabloid speculation of degenerative illness collides with footage of Charles striding across Clarence House garden plots, chattering to horticulturalists about nematodes. Camilla Tominey's comment, "He will die with cancer, not of it," echoes across radio panels, a phrase equal parts reassurance and grim inevitability. When Charles lifts a hand in salute from the carriage, applause rings sincere, but it is tinged with collective worry. A monarch less than 2 years on the throne, already an emblem of frailty. Even inside the family, lines of loyalty now feel elastic. Prince William, astride his charger Derby, rides directly behind the king's carriage, visual shorthand for destiny. He wears the same bright blue Order of the Thistle sash that once graced his grandmother's shoulder, a deliberate nod to continuity. Yet his presence is more than air-in-waiting symbolism, it's steadying ballast. Over the past 12 months William has deputized at Commonwealth meetings, absorbed extra investiture rounds, and quietly reconciled Foreign Office concerns about his father's trimmed diary. Courtiers talk of apprentice regency, though no one dares print that phrase. Princess Anne and Prince Edward flank William on horseback, stalwarts of stamina and self-effacement, but even their medals cannot mask absence further down the Windsor branches. Prince Andrew watches the parade behind palace curtains, Royal Lodge drama unresolved, an unofficial investigation into his finances rumored but unconfirmed. Harry, across the Atlantic, launches mental health projects through Art Ewell, but apparently dreams of bridge building. Arthur Edwards, veteran royal photographer, swears he detects wistfulness in the prince's latest eye contact with the camera lens. So trooping unfolds like a jigsaw missing corner pieces. The Grenadier Guards march in perfect grids, the Irish Guards bear the King's colour with fierce pride, the RAF swoops overhead trailing red, white, and blue vapour. Yet watchers sense subplots at every stride. Charles S. clipped aside to Camilla, absolutely crazy, absolutely extraordinary, lip readers claim, Camilla's faint eyebrow arch at the mention of another issue, Catherine's empty place on the Colonel's review stand. Even William's horse seems restless beneath the din, tossing its head as if reading tension in the air. Republic banners flash again near Admiralty Arch, drawing boos as they are escorted behind stewards. The monarchy has lived with protests since the 17th century, still, the optics jar in high-definition broadcast. One camera lingers on a sign reading £250 million for what? Juxtaposed with the glint of silver aiguillettes on William's tunic. The day may belong to pageantry, but the week's headlines belong to speculation. Hours after the parade, anti-monarchy spokespeople stream live on social platforms, claiming another 10,000 signatures added to their abolition petition. Within minutes, a rival hashtag, #StandWithTheKing, trends at double the volume, fueled by monarchists outraged that a man fighting cancer cannot celebrate his official birthday in peace. Meanwhile, the King's Majesty's household issues a late-evening communiqué. Schedule adjustments have been made to reflect His Majesty's continuing treatment regimen. Courtiers confirm he will attend the Garter service, but may delegate 2 upcoming garden parties. Editors parse the statement against Camilla Tominey's Die with, not of tagline, trying to divine real prognosis from PR shading. Across the city Catherine watches coverage from Windsor, family dog curled at her feet, children scattered between Lego castles and revision flashcards. She feels every beat of drumline through the television speakers. She hopes the camera doesn't linger too long on William's empty side of the carriage. It always stirs guilt, never mind that doctors insisted on rest after her doubleheader at Garter and trooping last year. She scrolls messages, friends texting proud hearts, strangers tagging #GetWellPrincess. In quieter hours she drafts a letter to a child currently undergoing chemo, a ritual she started during her own infusions. Service is therapy, she's learned. William returns late, uniform jacket removed, white gloves tucked into his belt. A brief embrace, no time for tired. They debrief like athletes, what worked, who smiled, where the protesters gathered. He mentions a new Republican pamphlet quoting her apparel budget. She shrugs, another Monday problem. They talk instead about Georgia's geography project and Charlotte's newly fierce backhand. But when the house finally settles, William stares longer than usual at the gilt-framed photo of his grandmother in full coronation regalia. He hears his father's carriage words, "On my way out, difference between me and him," and wonders if Charles is rehearsing mortality in private. Outside, the Thames slides under Westminster Bridge, indifferent to royal dramas. Anti-monarchy placards lie abandoned in bins, ceremonial flags droop in overnight drizzle. Yet inside Britain's collective imagination, the day's images lodge deep. A king in a carriage refusing fragility, a son on horseback absorbing tomorrow's weight, a princess healing offstage, Republicans chanting beneath the silver crescendo of an RAF flypast. The coverage loops on international news tickers. Britain's royals navigate celebration amid cancer fight and protests. Tomorrow, palace gardeners will sweep horse guards clean of confetti and horsehair. Social media storms will pivot to the next viral outrage. But beneath that churn, something slower, seismic, keeps moving. Questions about longevity, legitimacy, and the monarchy's contract with its people. How long can Charles command public patience while protests grow? How soon before William is asked to shoulder more than symbolic reins? At what point does Catherine's radiating popularity rewire constitutional language around consort versus co-sovereign? And will Harry's estrangement ever yield to Charles's promised, but perpetually postponed phone call? It will be messy, but we'll talk, lip readers heard him vow. No proclamation follows trooping. No new letters patent drop onto government desks. But power seldom shifts in grand decrees, it slides in increments, seating charts adjusted, uniforms retired, carriages swapped for saddles. By the time change is official, its roots have wound deep. So yes, Cafe Chatter asks, and now what? The only honest answer is, watch the quiet spaces between ceremony. Listen to what the king murmurs behind carriage glass, what Catherine's absence says louder than presence, what William's steady salute denies at dusk. History, like the tide on the Thames, keeps its own unhurried schedule, each lapping wave a whisper that nothing, not even stone castles or ancient crowns, stays fixed forever.